This is the part 1 of my new series, AI Product Management Design Frameworks. In the last series, I talked about AI trust and reliability, control layers, validation, traceability, human review, and runtime governance. Now, I want to go one level deeper into practical AI product management. And I want to start with one mistake I see often. Teams start with the model before they understand the workflow. They ask, which model should we use? Should we use RAG? Should we build an agent? Should we fine tune? Can we automate this? Those questions matter, but they are not the first questions. The first question should be, what workflow are we trying to improve? Because a model is not a product, a prompt is not a product, a chatbot is not automatically a product. A product changes how work gets done. That is the core idea of this episode. AI PMs should start with the workflow, not the model. Most AI product discussions still start with the model. Which model, which prompt, RAG or agent, fine tune or not? Those are useful questions. But if the workflow is unclear, the model discussion is premature. On this slide, the wrong part is simple: model, prompt, demo. That can look impressive, but it does not mean the product is useful. The better part starts with the workflow, decision, context, action, metric, then model choice, then sequence matters. First, define the job, then define the system behavior, then define the AI capability, then choose the model. That is the difference between building a demo and building a product. This is the common mistake. Teams get an AI idea and immediately jump into implementation questions. Which model should we use? RAG or agent? How should we write the prompt? Should we fine tune? What can we automate? Again, these are not bad questions. The mistake is asking them too early. If the workflow is not defined, the model decision is premature. You can choose a strong model and still build the wrong product. You can write a good prompt and still fail the workflow. You can build an impressive demo and still create no real value. That is why AI PMs need to slow down at the beginning. Not slow down execution, slow down the thinking. Before choosing the model, define the workflow. What problem are we solving? Who is doing the work? What decision needs to change? What action follows? What metric should improve? If those answers are unclear, the team is not ready to pick the model. They are still defining the product. This is the workflow first view. Input comes in, a user has a task, a decision needs to happen, an action follows, and there is an outcome. That is the product part. AI should improve that part, not just generate something interesting on the side. The PM needs to understand where the workflow is breaking. Where is work breaking? Where is time lost? Where is context missing? Where are decisions inconsistent? Where can AI reduce friction? Where does AI create risk? These are the real starting questions because the workflow defines the AI product, not the model, not the prompt, not the agent architecture, the workflow. If the workflow is broken because users do not have the enough context, the AI design should focus on context and summarization. If the workflow is broken because routing decisions are inconsistent, the AI design should focus on classification, policy signals, and validation. If the workflow is broken because handoffs are poor, the AI design should focus on structured summaries and clear next steps. Different workflow problem, different AI product. That is why workflow first thinking matters. This is the practical example. Let's say the AI capability is ticket summarization. At first, that sounds like one feature, but it is not. The same summarization capability can become very different products depending on the workflow. If the goal is agent productivity, the summary should focus on customer issue, timeline, attempted fixes, recommended next step. If the goal is severity routing, the summary needs different signals: customer impact, urgency, policy triggers, escalation risk. If the goal is engineering triage, the summary changes again. Now, we care about device and environment type, error pattern, log signals, reproducibility, same model, same capability, different workflow, different requirements, different metrics, different risks. This is where many AI products go wrong. Teams say the model can summarize. Fine, but summarize for whom? For what decision? For what action? For what metric? Capability is not product value. That is the key point. The PM has to define the workflow before deciding what the AI output should look like. This is the practical test I would use before any AI product discussion goes too deep into model choice. 5 questions. First question: what workflow are we improving? Be specific, not customer support. That is too broad. Say, reducing the time it takes for agents to understand long tickets, or improving severity classification for high impact cases. Second question: what decision or action should change? AI output should support a decision or action, route the ticket, route the response, flag missing context, escalate a case, recommend the next step. If there is no decision or action, the AI feature becomes decoration, maybe expensive decoration. Third question: what context does the system need? A lot of AI product failures happen because the model does not have the right context. The PM needs to define what context is required before the system can respond with confidence. Fourth question: what happens after the model responds? Does the output stay as a suggestion? Does it update a record? Does it trigger a workflow? Does it need review? Can it be blocked? This is where product design connects to production reliability. Fifth question: how will we know the workflow improved? Accuracy is not enough. We need workflow metrics: time saved, resolution time, routing accuracy, review burden, user acceptance, override rate, customer impacting errors. If these five answers are unclear, the team is not ready to pick the model. They are still defining the product. Here is the final takeaway: the model matters, but the workflow decides whether the model creates value. The prompt matters, but the system decides whether the output is useful. Automation matters, but the product boundary decides whether it is safe. That is the mindset shift. AI PMs should not start with which model should we use. They should start with which workflow are we improving. Once the workflow is clear, everything gets better. The product design gets better. The AI capability becomes clearer. The model choice becomes easier. The evaluation becomes more meaningful. The launch decisions become safer. And the business value becomes easier to measure. Start with the workflow, then design the AI. That is how AI moves from impressive demos to useful products. This is the part one of my new series, AI Product Management Design Frameworks. In part two, I'll cover defining the automation boundary, what AI can suggest, decide, trigger, update, review, or block. The simple rule is this: do not start with the model, start with the workflow. Because the model can generate output, but the workflow decides whether the output creates value. Start with the workflow, then design the AI.